At some point last year, my portfolio actually crossed a line that I haven't been tracking. That is the annual return on my investments. Just the growth, not counting the contributions that I'm putting in there, exceeded what I was saving from my paycheck and the contributions I was making. My money actually has started working a lot harder than I was, and I had no idea it happened because nobody tells you there are actually 3 different moments when you're building a portfolio and when you're seeing the growth, 3 crossover points as they are called, and most investors celebrate the small one, which is really called the finish line, or even when you put in the milestones, the $10,000, the $100,000, even $1 million milestone. Today's video, I want to show you all 3, the exact math behind each one based on real ETF returns and the number that I'm going with my $500,000 portfolio. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, most people never heard of the crossover point, or you might have and not understand exactly what it meant. It is the moment that your investments earn more than you contribute on an annual basis, because that is what is missing when it comes to 2 critical distinctions that can completely change the math when it comes to compounding, because there are actually 3 different moments and they get called really kind of the same thing regardless of the portfolio size. And I feel like they are very different when it comes to the psychology and when it comes to investing in general. Crossover point number 1, your portfolio is growing more in a year than you are doing those contributions. That is the very first line. Now, crossover point number 2, your portfolio grows more in a year than you actually earn income within that same year. That's the line where mathematically it becomes kind of optional when you can replace the growth in the portfolio with the income that you're generating. Crossover 3, your portfolio generates enough income to cover all of your living expenses without ever having to sell a single share. That's the original definition, and that is what financial independence is. From the 1992 book, Your Money or Your Life, it is a completely different number for everyone. And really, when we look at retirement calculators, it is not a number that they use. All 3 of these matter, and they sit at very different places in a portfolio, and most investors can confuse one for another, so I want to clarify. Crossover 1 is the moment that your portfolio growth actually exceeds the contributions that you make in a year. The math for this is very simple. If you save $20,000 a year and you're investing in a portfolio with that 10% return, you would need $200,000 invested before the growth would match the contributions in that portfolio. At a 15% return, you cut that down to $133,000. The ETFs in my portfolio really changed what this calculation meant. My blended portfolio, which is really focused on the SPMO, the VOO, QQQM, and the rest of those in the satellite position, has returned 18% annualized over the last 5 years. And looking at that, saving $20,000 a year, you can hit that crossover roughly at $111,000. At $500 a month, $6,000 a year, you can actually get there at about $33,000, depending on exactly the contributions that you're making and the growth you're seeing. Now, these are not hypothetical numbers. These are the actual compounding rates that I see on the ETF portfolio that I have. The crossover comes a lot better and comes a lot faster when you have a lot more growth in the portfolio, which is really the argument for owning the SPMO instead of really the generic blended funds that we see, or even holding just the VOO. Now, here's the most important thing to remember about the first crossover. It is not the finish line, but this is the moment that the engine and that growth engine really does switch. Before the point, your savings rate was dominating, and that was really driving the growth in there. At this point, compounding is going to be that dominant variable. The only mistake at crossover is people stop contributing thinking they've arrived at the point they're looking for. You haven't. This is the engine that just flipped the switch. You need to keep feeding it with contributions. Now, crossover 2, this is where the portfolio gets real. This is the moment the portfolio is growing more every single year than you earn in income from your job. Work becomes mathematically optional depending on where it's at. At SPMO's 10-year annualized return of roughly 20%, if you earn $75,000 a year from your job, that crossover 2 point is approximately $373,000 invested. If you're an individual earning $100,000, that crossover is sitting at $497K. For someone who earns $50,000, you're looking at $248,000. These are real numbers, again, from a portfolio, not a 7% generic portfolio blend that we see. And here's the trap that Dan Wilson really focused on, And I want to talk about it very specifically because it applies to the SPMO and that 20% return we've seen over the last 10 years. Early 2026, it was down 7% before we seen that March reconstitution. The 2000 dot-com era within the S&P 500 seeing a negative 1% return for a full 10 years. Anyone who was trying to hit this crossover number 2 in 1999, stop those contributions, would be absolutely wiped out for a decade before they got back to the growth. Crossover 2 is a long run. It is not a guaranteed return. It is more of an average. The only investors that really kept that crossover through 2000 were the ones still making all the contributions down in those down years, buying more, keeping those prices lowering, and we know the market was still negative, lowering the average cost. And when you emerged on the other side, you had a crazy amount of accumulation in shares that you were actually building. Now, my real $500,000 portfolio at 18% is looking at that 87,600 in annual growth with a run rate. Now, I have crossover 2, and I'm still contributing every single week that we do contributions because the map is not the train that we're seeing, long run averages and not the 12-month guaranteed. The portfolio keeps getting fed and I keep making those contributions. Now, crossover number 3, this is the original. This is from the 1992 book, Your Money or Your Life. At this crossover, this is where your portfolio can generate enough money to cover all of your monthly expenses. This is where it is truly, really recognized as financial independence. Now, notice what I'm saying. We're not looking at a portfolio size, not a multitude of spending. Monthly income from asset generation is covering your monthly expenses 100%. You live on your income, you never touch the principal. This is a philosophy even going back to Dave Ramsey, where he says you always take the eggs, but you never touch the golden goose. This is the fundamental math. If you're an individual spending $50,000 a year and your income producing asset is 3.5%, mostly the SCHD, kind of the yield in there, you're going to need $1.42 million to reach that crossover point. And this is where a lot of ETFs are going to vary greatly. When we start looking at something like the SOXQ, very modest dividend, and if you combine it with something like the SCHD, you can get a blended income out of there of 1.35. You can see how this can really change what a portfolio looks like when you're thinking of those contributions and also getting income out of there. So when I look at a $500,000 portfolio, the way that I'm investing it, because it is a taxable brokerage account, I am getting about $6,500 annually, and that is by design. I am nowhere near crossover number 3, and this is very, very intentional. That's exactly why my portfolio is very heavy, 95% weighted into growth. Looking at the SPMO and that QQQM, I do not want the income right now. I do not want the tax liability every single year. Crossover 3 is really on income alone with a retirement vehicle. If you're at the point of getting Social Security, this could be the supplement you're seeing in there. Now, crossover 2, the total return is really in the accumulation phase, and that's exactly what we're thinking. It is completely different phases. When you get to the point in getting to crossover 3, there's a reason why it really does matter. And a lot of people have started focusing, and we're starting to see that continued aspect on income first and why this definition really does matter. When we start looking at a market, whether it's positive or negative, it can still generate cash flow in the entirety. Crossover 3 doesn't break anything or doesn't break any rules. Dividends kept paying through a down market. When you look at 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, even the housing market, even the COVID with the down market, dividends kept paying through the entire way. The income floor and the capital appreciation floor really disappears. This is why the SCHD stays in a portfolio, and a lot of people have held it for an incredible amount of time because even through a down market, the SCHD continue to pay those dividends and continue to give people the ability and the income to carry on their life. It's really not sized for income in my portfolio right now, but it's definitely going to be sized for my income as we progress and get closer to retirement. So here's where I sit right now in my portfolio. Crossover number 1, absolutely past it. The portfolio generates more in my expected annual returns than I contribute on an annual basis. Crossover number 2, we have passed that one in the portfolio as well. Looking at almost an 18% return, which is crazy. We are looking at almost an $87,000 expected growth within the next 12 months. Again, if the market continues how it's going. And of course, we're getting to the point of almost replacing my income with the generation of the growth that we're seeing in the portfolio. Even though I want to be clear, guys, 2026, even looking at the last couple years, is not the baseline. There are some years the portfolio is going to underperform. We're going to have years where it's doing incredibly well. The average, what I'm tracking over any given year in crossover 3, I am definitely not there. And again, that is by design in the entirety. My income yield on the portfolio is 1.3%, generating $6,500 a year in dividends. But like I said, that is by design. I do not want the tax liability of having a portfolio that is going to have some significant growth or pay some significant incomes. That is why when I look at my SCHD allocation, it is 5%. So guys, 3 crossovers, not one. Growth beats contributions, the engine, and it is built in the stock market for growth and compounding. Growth will beat income. When you look at it mathematically, you are going to grow a portfolio with the accumulation phase a lot faster than you're going to. Income beats expenses. You never have to sell a share within a portfolio. Again, most retirement contains points, and really crossover 1 and call it done. But there are 3 very specific, very important crossovers, because the number you actually want to hit is crossover number 2 at a very, very minimum. The one that really is lost is crossover number 3, being able to replace the income generation from a portfolio with your income overall. And I know, and let me know in the comments, guys, exactly which one you're building down. Drop a comment. And really, where are you for the crossovers? I respond to every single comment. Are you looking at 1, 2, or 3? And of course, let me know your annual savings. Are you saving 3%, 5%? Do we have some crazy financial mutants out there, like they say in the Money Guy show, that are saving 20, 30, 40% of the income? It is kind of crazy, but I reply to every single comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel if I gave you any more insight and really precision into what you're aiming for when it comes to the portfolio, and I'll catch you guys later.